Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to be here. Hallelujah. All praise and glory to Father Yah through Yahusha HaMashiach. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We today are blessed to see another beautiful day. I got a lesson today that I actually did a couple years ago when I was out at an Assembly of Yahweh. So I just want to, shout out to Assembly of Yahweh, Pastor Graham, and the Mishpachah there. May Yahweh continue to bless you all and continue to shine his face upon you in Yahushua's name. But the lesson that I gave there is a very sobering message. It's a message I feel Father gave to me then, and he's telling me to teach on it again with also a little bit of revamp, So I'm getting ready to get in here, get going here. I'm trying to get myself situated. But the reason that I feel that this lesson today is needed is because if we look at what's going on in the world, what we see going on in the world, we see a lot of chaos. We see a lot of death. We see a lot of death. I'm going to take this off, actually. I didn't want to that over there. We're seeing a lot of death. We see a lot of sorrow in this earth with, not just even talking with COVID. We're talking with, the increasing violence, other different pestilences. We've had storms out west in California. They're having fires and earthquakes. We're definitely seeing the beginning of birth pains if we really paid attention to what HaMashiach spoke when he was walking on the earth. So I want to go right into, we're going to do a lot in Psalms today. We're going to have a couple other books incorporated in the lesson today. But we're going to be dealing a lot in Psalms. Because Dawid had a lot of understanding that, starting to see as we get closer to the Most High and get more into his will. I'm going to try to make this one brief as much as I can. But, of course, it is all up to Father Yah. Whatever his Ruach wants to declare and proclaim to the people, I am just trying to be a willing vessel for him to proclaim to his people. So, with all that said, I think we're going to go on and get started. As we're going to jump right in. We're going to go to Psalms 39, and we're just going to read. We're just going to read, starting in verse 1. I have said, let me guard my ways against sinning with my tongue. Let me guard my mouth with a muzzle while the wrongdoer is before me. See, we got to understand, we live in a day and era where we don't pay any regard to the Most High's instruction, to the Most High's way. We kind of look at sin very leisurely and very casually in this world, in this captivity of Babylon, this world of Babylon. And we see right here, the writer is here, he's saying that, let me guard my ways against sinning with my mouth. So he's not only saying guard his way against sinning and with his mouth. Let me guard my mouth with a muzzle while the wrongdoer is before me. We need to really try to get to a place where we're not only just focused on the action of sin, but we are also trying to make sure not even in our speech is sin. So continuing on in verse 2. I became dumb, keeping still. I was silent from good, and my pain was stirred. My heart was hot within me. While I was meditating, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. Yahuwah. This is where we are, where I'm trying to get. We need to number our days. And this is in verse 4. Yahuwah, let me know my end and the measure of my days, what it is. Let me know how short-lived I am. See, you have made my days as handbreadth, and my lifetime is as non-existent before you. Only all men standing are all breath. Selah. Think on that. We're going to read that again. I'm going to start back in verse 4, reading that again. Yahuwah, let me know my end and the measure of my days, what it is. Let me know how short-lived I am. See, you have made my days as handbreadth, and my lifetime is as non-existent before you. Only all men standing are all breath. We do not have any real understanding of how short our life is. We don't have any real understanding of how fragile life is. We don't value it like we should, like the Most High had valued it. I'm gonna kind of give a little spoiler alert, a little bit off topic though. But I was talking to Ma'ak about a song concept, and basically with that song concept, you know, I'm showing the things that we sell our souls short for, and the value of our being. We don't cherish it because how quickly we turn away, and how quickly we'll give it up. You know, people you've heard, you know, selling their soul to the devil to get fame and all this and that. And that's kind of where the concept is. But the end of it, I was trying to show that it's very short. And I'm saying that the value of man's life to the Father is that he gave his son. He allowed his son. He gave his son so that we could be redeemed. That shows our higher value, something for more eternal. So we have to understand what our life is, but what our life is valued in the eyes of the Most High. I want to keep going, in verse 10. Turn aside your stroke from me. I am overcome by the blow of your hand. Oh, excuse me. I don't think I was down that far. I'm sorry.
You was at 6.
Sorry. Let me start in. I'm going to start back at verse 5. See, you have made my days as handbreadth, and my lifetime is as non-existent before you. Only all men standing are all breath. Selah. As but a shadow each one walks. They busy themselves only in vain. He heaps up wealth, but knows not who gathers them. We're going to touch on that later on a little bit. But keep that verse in mind. That's verse 6 of Psalms 39. But continuing in verse 7. And now, Yahuwah, what do I wait for? My expectancy is in you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the reproach of the foolish. I'm going to stop right there, because this is where my Strong's reference is coming in. I wanted to focus on that word reproach. We got to understand that Dawid is speaking from a prophetic way. If we understand, if we allow the Ruach to teach us and allow us the Ruach to give us deeper understanding. But he says, do not make me the reproach of the foolish. And I looked up that word reproach in the Hebrew, and it is H2781, and it is, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, charpa, from 2778, continually disgrace, reproach, shame, rebuke, reproachfully. It means reproach. And it got me thinking on a deeper level with what, if we have the understanding that Judah, that Judah is, the descendants of Judah are those that came from the transatlantic slave trade, the so-called Negroes. And when we look at that, we see right here in verse 8, deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the reproach of the foolish. So, what is the reproach of the foolish? We're going to break this down. The reproach means, the shame. And I was explaining earlier today that, we have this thing where we've got people that, they come up with an all lives matter, and every time someone would say Black Lives Matter. And now I just want to be clear, I do not subscribe to any type of movement, only the movement of allowing people. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Kevin, we live right over there.
Oh, wow.
So you guys had a Bible study, and I heard your music and stuff.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm
well.
If you guys would, if we could join you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We keep Shabbat. I kind of do like a little, gathering.
Oh, you're on your phone.
I'm on the live, so no worries. I don't mind it at all.
The people in real life are much more important.
So I'm trying to, like, I do on the live to just get, for my Facebook purposes and everything.
Cool,
but
man.
that's the reason I wanted to come out here. I wanted to be amongst the people.
Awesome.
I'm definitely see the scripts
please.
from a whole different side, a whole different viewpoint. I don't look at it as a religion.
Right.
And it's about a nation of people.
Are you from this neighborhood?
We are not from here. Friend Erica lives here. So I go by what script says, what script taught, and
That's what we should do. I take it literal too, man.
Oh yeah. So I'm actually working on this lesson I'm presenting called Number Our Days.
You're just at the beginning of it.
Yeah, actually just the beginning of it. I saw
we were
earlier.
trying to get over here, but we had something happened at the house.
No worries.
You guys can grab that chair. She went to get another one.
Oh, really?
Oh, did she? Okay.
I have one in my basement.
Let me go on and.
Should we go get one?
I think she's going to be
she'll
on
be
her way out here
soon,
before you.
right here.
Here, you can sit down.
Ziggy,
This
you
one.
can play over there.
Yep, and that's one reason I come out here for the children.
Yeah.
Keeps it easy to.
Yeah, cool. Want me to take this one?
Oh yeah, you're fine. I can.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I'm fine until she brings one back. I have no problem
Cool,
at
man.
all.
Awesome.
I guess brothers.
No, well, we are, but not physically.
brothers.
Right. We all claim each other brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
we
saying?
are.
Brothers, sisters, you know what I'm saying? Spiritually, we're all cool. We all brothers connected. We all one body.
Yeah.
Just gotta figure out which member we are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, just to do a quick little recap of what I was going through, because I actually did this teaching a couple years ago. I don't know if you've heard of a place called Assembly of Yahweh out in Eaton Rapids. Well, they're Shabbat keepers. They keep Saturday. They keep the feasts. Like, they don't do Christmas. We don't do Easter or anything like that. But I presented this there one time with them. It was titled "Number Our Days." And the reason I feel the Father put it on me to do this again, and this time is because of what we're seeing with everything going on, and I'm not even just talking just with the COVID. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
there's a lot of stuff.
I mean, yeah, we've got the whole protest going on.
Yeah.
We got
I kind of heard what you were saying when I was walking up, and you were right on, man.
Yeah, because I was, actually, because I was reading here, and I went into, it was verse 8 in Psalms 39. I was right there. It says, "Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the reproach. Do not make me the reproach of the foolish." Now, and when I went and did more study, I was just reading on that word reproach, shapah, and giving the definition of it in the Hebrew. It's H2781. If you guys might get a chance to look it up, or on Facebook, we're afterwards, after lessons and everything, we can talk more. And
you remember Josh, my brother Josh, was telling us about those things that you're wearing on the blue and white.
Oh my gosh, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah,
the
my brother
Z seats?
was telling us about, yeah.
Yeah.
He was just telling her about those yesterday. He used them when he was trying to quit smoking cigarettes and stuff. And I don't remember what all he was saying about it, but he was just telling us about those last night.
Yeah, it's
I don't really know.
the reason they were actually, we can go there real quick. That's the whole thing about, and that's the thing about, I'm very different from what our traditional churches have been.
Saying,
I like to have people ask questions, to answer, because we've lived in a time we've been taught lies, just like in Jeremiah it says, our fathers inherited lies. And a lot of things people do get, it's hard to let go of some of the things because we've been so ingrained with it.
Right. A lot of people's answers are really like their opinions, really, versus what is really written down.
So I'm really glad I came over already. I know I usually work. This is my first Saturday that I haven't had to work on. So I just was walking by, and I was like, I told her that I would come when
I messaged him a few weeks ago, and I was pretty bummed when he said.
Yeah, work.
You work at the Mission, right?
Yeah, we both.
I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Kathy or somebody told me about you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. It's good. Doing good work. Yeah. But as far as with the Z seats, in Numbers 15, and in verse 38, in verse 37 it says, let me get there, Numbers 15, and then in verse 37 it says, "And Yahuwah, which spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, to make tzitzit on the corners of their garments, throughout their garments, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corner. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, and you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahuwah, and shall do them. And not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went horn, so that you remember and shall do all the commandments and be set apart unto your Elohim."
Yeah, that's
so.
That's cool.
The thing about what scripturally is we have to look at, like he says, it's always been children of Israel. We're familiar with Moses.
Yeah.
He was building a nation. And that's what the Father had given me for, the reason, I've named my ministry even Fire in the Wilderness. The reason being of it is exactly when Moses and all the children of Israel were in the wilderness. They were led by the pillar of cloud by day, and then the cloud of fire by night. So it's symbolizing that. The reason I use the fire is because we are in a very dark hour. It is very night. It's gross darkness all around. Yeah. So with that being said, that's why I'm we need his guidance, his light. He's the only one, the only true light that we have in order to help guide our path during this very dark world. Yeah. And and the whole basis of my ministry is to first and foremost get people to understand that we all do need to repent. We all need to turn back to the Creator of the Most High. We need to believe on His Son, Yahushua, or as the world would call Jesus. And we are to always be that light. But the thing is, He had given us instruction. He gave Israel the instructions because in Exodus 19, I'm just going to go and read in verse 3. Yeah, if you can turn there. I have no.
You can go ahead, man.
Okay. And Moses went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called to him from the mountain, saying, "This is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and declare to the children of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. And now, if you diligently obey my voice, and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a set apart nation." Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. So that is where we see the plan of the Most High for the world. I know, like, I myself, I grew up a Christian. I went to Bethlehem Temple Church under Bishop Singleton. He actually used to be formerly known the Temple Club. I don't know if anyone knows.
Yeah, I know. That's
Okay, before it was the Temple Club, it was Bethlehem
Okay.
Temple Church.
Yeah,
So I used to go there, and I grew up with the whole apostolic Christian church mind, but I was also admit I was a lukewarm, very lukewarm Christian. And so, she brought the chairs. Okay. But I was very lukewarm. I did a lot of music. The music industry, I was trying to get in there, and one day I was trying to make, I went to a fellow artist's house, and we were supposed to make a song. Long story short, we didn't make no music, but we ended up talking politics and religion. Like, we went into that conversation. And he was one of those that has, like, this belief in, like, the universe and energies and nothing biblical. So, but, of course, being a Christian, I'm like, no, Jesus is the way, and, really gun-ho with everything that I've been taught. Yeah. But he brought up some questions that shook me.
Oh, yeah.
Really shook me, and I couldn't answer them. Didn't have a clue in how to answer
What
them.
kind of questions were they? Just curious.
This was years ago. But one in particular was, the one in particular was like, how is, because I came from with the Trinitarian view. So it was, well, how is Jesus the Son of God, but also God? Like, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are questions you get kind of like stumbled on.
I don't think we're really supposed to fully understand that.
Well, that was my first question when I started learning about the Trinity.
We can, You got it out over here.
You guys gonna be eating good on that.
Well, so needless to say, so, it was questions like that that really I couldn't answer.
Yeah, because they're all one.
So I kind of went to where it kind of challenged my faith. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I've been hearing this, like, this wasn't the first time. I've been getting slowly incremental. So it was one day I prayed, I was like, you know what? I just want to know what the truth is. I've been hearing so much about, Christianity, this and that, just so much. So I'm like, Father, I don't care if it's Buddha, don't care if it's Allah. I just want to know the truth. Just want to know the truth. So again, that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So pretty much, needless to say, shortly after that prayer, I had the Father really answered that prayer. And I looked into different religions. Something inside me was like, don't go Hinduism, don't go Buddhism. That's not right. So I just never really looked into them like that. So I kind of broke it down like, okay, we got, by using the logic, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are the main big three religions, and they're all tied to Abraham. So I'm like, let's start there. So I'm going through, and I kind of quickly eliminated Islam just by the process of it as being the newest religion out of the three. So I had eliminated that, so I looked more into Judaism. And when I did that, I started started seeing things like, wait a minute, he doesn't change. The Most High doesn't change. He stays the same. We see it in Hebrews, written in Hebrews. We see the account written in Malachi. So I'm like, so if this is the case, if blood only atones for sins, if only the high priest can only have to be after the line of Aaron, and we don't have a temple, we don't have any of those things set up and instituted by Torah to, for the atoning. So I was like, so basically, if we're going to say he's just, and we're going to just keep everything same, every person, pretty much every Jew died in their sins because of the fact that there is no Levitical order properly ordaining, and like we have the Numbers account when Abinadab and Elihu sent up the strange fire. So you can't just send up things to the Most High in any kind of way. It don't work like that. So I'm like, all right. So that's when I'm looking at it like, okay, well, Christianity is based off Judaism. So, I'm giving baby steps to how I got up to it.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm following you.
So I'm like, so that's where the Messiah comes in. That's when I started seeing the Messiah come into play. But again, I was looking at everything from a religious standpoint. And the father, one day I was reading, he's like, no, it's not a religion. It's about a nation. And when I started seeing it from that aspect, then I started being able to make the comparisons of what we deal with in the everyday. People all around the world deal with a nation of some sort. So when I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, he took the children of Israel out of Egypt. These were people who were, slaves for years. They had no system of how to govern or let alone run a nation. So I looked at, and I'm studying the Torah, just focused on the first 5 books. And when I did that, I started seeing things like, okay, they have their system of their moral conduct, how they're supposed to conduct amongst themselves. They have their business conduct. And then, of course, with the Levites, the rulers, the judges, these were your senators, trying to make the comparison. Like, okay, so instead of looking at the scriptures as a nation, or instead of as a religion, I look at it as a nation. And then that developed more so into, okay, if this is a nation, and we see, quote unquote, Israel over there in 1948 establishment and all that, I'm like, but that ain't adding up to what I'm reading. Let me go through and make sure we're following. So this is why I went through extensive. So I went through Deuteronomy 28, and in Deuteronomy 28, one of the key things that caught me was verse 45. In Deuteronomy 28 and in verse 45, it says, and all these curses shall come upon you, and they shall pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim to guard his commands and his laws which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and on your seed forever. So I'm like, he said forever. So these things are not going to go away. These are still going to be on the nation of people. And so I'm looking and I'm read through the blessings and the cursings. And then we're just on the 68th verse. And it says, and Yahweh shall bring you back to Egypt in ships, by a way of which I said to you, you are never to see it again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one to buy or redeem when you look deeper into that word in the Hebrew. And so I'm like, okay, who in world history actually, a whole entire nation, been just exactly this, went back into slavery again by ships? And I was like, there's only one people. I was like, I've looked in every history. I've looked and I'm like, okay. And then I went and did the research upon the who's in the land today, which it's a lot. We could go through that, but the short answer is they're actually Khazarian. That's why they call themselves either Ashkenazi Jew. If you look up over 90, I think it's like 90%, well over 90% of the Jewish population are Ashkenazi Jew. And if you look up Ashkenazi in Genesis 10 in the Table of Nations, you will see that Ashkenaz is a son of Japheth. So you see, they technically are not Shemite, because it was only Japheth, Shem, and Ham, the descendants of Noah. So, yeah, so it's a long.
Yeah, I know what kind of some of the stuff you're talking about. I've never really like found any like, I look around on the internet and stuff a lot, and I never really learned much about it, but I kind of know what you're talking about a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then it's a lot. I mean, there's tons and tons of resources that are hitting, and we're talking like books and documents written in like 15, 16, 1700s that we don't hear about, but they're there. Like John Ogilvy, he was a cartographer, I think, for the King of England or something, and he actually even wrote about like their accounts of who the Jewish people, who the true Jews are, and everything else. So, but that's where, so that's pretty much the start of how I've gotten into it. And so, and I mean, I don't know if you're familiar of how much research you have done.
Not a whole lot, to be honest, but I've kind of, some people I listen to kind of tell some stuff a little bit, but I haven't gotten like extensive on it.
Right.
I've always kind of had a lot of questions about that stuff, And it's kind of hard to find the information, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't want to listen to something that I don't know if it's going to mislead me or anything.
And that's right. And that's one thing is, like we're told, test the spirits. It could be of Elohim. And so, like, with me, I try to present everything. Like, I have another notebook besides this one at home that's full of just resources, like listed resources. Like, one of them is like the Jewish Encyclopedia resource listed. I've got the Book of Josephus. I've done a lot of research to find out what's really happened. Yeah. And of course, with the guidance of the Ruach. Without the Spirit of the Most High, it wouldn't even be possible to do and learn what I learned.
I should bring my 13 tribe book.
So all praise goes to him. But I'm going to continue here with this Number Our Days one, just because I think you guys would really enjoy it. But like I was saying, we were going into Psalms 39. And I'll get there real quick.
Adia. Hey yo, Adia.
Out before we left. So.
Oh, but as I was explaining, I was in actually, the verse 8. Deliver me from my transgression. Do not make me the reproach of the foolish. And with that word reproach, it means shame, rebuke, these things. And when you were walking up, as I was saying, like, I don't prescribe to any protests. And like I said, I see the spiritual side of things. So whereas people are seeing things from a physical standpoint, I'm like, there's a spirit behind it that you have to look. But what I found interesting was because David wrote this. King David wrote the Psalms, and it's a prophetic thing he was saying. Don't make me the reproach of the foolish. And when we look at the reproach of the foolish, the shame, where that word reproach is like the shame, the scorn, things like that. And so when I was explaining is like we're in a system where, someone could say Black Lives Matter, and then instantly the rebuttal would become All Lives Matter. Instantly. Yeah. And as I was explaining to him earlier before we were setting up, I was like, if you notice, Like, just by looking at it, this is another way it kind of shows the nation and, like, again, the sign and wonder that we read in Deuteronomy. We see that Native Americans, they've had their injustices done, and they may make their petitions or whatnot, but it's never really an opposition. There's not really a rebuke to it. Just like we've seen, like some people with the, like with the Confederate flags and things like that. There's some tension, but it's not like an outright rebuke. Now, as like instantly, you scream out Black Lives Matter, almost instantly you're gonna hear All Lives Matter. And that is just the thing, like for example, with like reparations and things like that. I'm not one that worries about reparations or anything like that, because I believe the Most High, like I said, we are of Judah, so he's going to recompense when it's time, as he's a just Elohim. He's going to make sure the scales and balances are equal. He's always been that way. He definitely does. Hallelujah. So but it's like anytime there is a injustice of some sort, if we look at it really to any other group of people, and then when you look at the quote unquote African Americans, like in America, it's like almost instant opposition.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is because of like I said, if we're looking at it as we are Judah, the nation that originally got the covenant, originally got the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High. These are the reason of it is because of the curses. Like if you go through Deuteronomy 28, he says, if you break my covenant, if you worship other mighty ones, you fall down and worship other gods, you break my covenant, you don't keep my commands, all these curses will be on you. You will be the tail. You won't be the head. You will be, consistently fearing for your lives day and night. In daylight you're gonna grope around like you're blind. And these are the specific curses brought upon the children of Israel for their disobedience. And as we read in Deuteronomy 28, when we just went over it in 46, where he says these things will be a sign and wonder on you forever, on you and your seed forever, until he returns and justifies things.
So do you think, following Christ in your life can only do so much to help something like that because it's so broad or something, or like? And
no, Messiah is following Christ is what we are all to do. Yeah. Every person. Messiah's purpose, for a lack of better term, has been really downplayed by Christianity. Mm-hmm. His role is a lot bigger than people really understand and what is taught. One of my favorite go-tos is in Matthew 5.
You might not take it where you expect.
Matthew 5 and 17. Yeah, today is, this is a blessing to be able to actually sit and, but 5 and 17, he says, do not think, I'm going to actually go up to 14. Mm-hmm. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. Do not think, don't even think it, that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one yod or one title shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. And whoever then, verse 9, whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of heavens. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of the heavens. So, the Messiah already off jump says he ain't doing away with none of the instructions, none of the writings, nothing what was given of old. He said, I didn't come to destroy, but to complete. And that word complete in the Greek is plerou, which would mean, to complete, to fulfill. Like I explained it to my children, like, you can't make bread. You can't think you're going to have a complete loaf of bread if you got the oven set right and everything else, but you leave out the yeast, or you leave out the water, or the ingredient. You can't leave out an ingredient to get bread. And I was like, it kind of worked because he's the bread of life. So it's for us to understand, in a deeper sense, in that word plerou, it also means to level up. So what Messiah did when he returned, when he came in flesh, was that he showed us how to walk Torah. We need to understand that the Torah, the things that were written in the Torah, the things that were written in the prophets and the writings are foundational. Like I was explaining to Ak the other day that we're so behind in our day and age from the understanding of when, at least when Matthew was written, when Messiah walked, because the Torah and all that was supposed to be your foundation. How you raised up a child, basically. How we all grew up with our homes and different cultures, beliefs, and everything like that. And that's what molded us and helped raise us. Well, that was supposed to be our instructions in raising. Like when people say life don't come with a instruction manual, yeah, it does. You just read it. But just like people's car manuals, they don't read them. So they don't got the instructions on how to properly function and operate. And the Father is about order. He is love, but we have to understand he don't do anything out of confusion, nothing out of chaos. So everything is in order and everything does have a function. And that's what part of the Torah and the writings was our instructions on how we should function as man. That's how our instruction is how to function. If, and we got like pastors and things that teach the law is done away with, what they're telling you is don't do the instruction manual, but which would in turn would make you out of function. And we don't think about the simple things in life, like if the son decided to say the law is done away with and I'm not coming up for 6 months, we're through. So we have to understand everything works on function. The Father is function, he is order. And the thing is, we have a world that thinks it can function without the order. We want to try to loop around the Most High and make ourselves like God. We want to have that Luciferian mind, that Satan mind. That's exactly what they're teaching everybody. Everybody is being taught to look and think with the satanic mindset. And it's so pushed into this day. We got people saying, I'm living my best life. Well, personally, I don't think anything about this life is best, especially when you have the hope of New Jerusalem. So, off jump, we know that this is not the best life. And then we got other things that, people say, oh, I'm going to do me. But if we understand like one of the satanic commands, do what thou wilt. So you see that same mindset is being subtle and getting fed to the children.
It's crazy,
So we have to understand that we are dealing with absolute evil. Yeah. We are dealing with absolute evil, and people don't grasp absolute evil because we think there's parameters. We think for some reason there's limitations to what evil will do. No, there is not. Absolute evil will do absolute evil. Even if that means that I have to be your friend for 5 years just so I know that I can destroy you in the end, that is what evil will do. So that's why we have to have the Spirit so we can discern these things. Because discernment isn't necessarily, and I heard this from someone which made a very good point. It said discernment isn't about knowing what's right and wrong. Discernment is knowing what's right and what's almost right. And that's where we get caught up. We get caught up in the almost right. And the almost right becomes a snare to everyone. Because almost right deals in your emotions. Almost right deals in how you feel about a matter. So though you may not feel a certain way about it, but if the Most High said that that's wrong, then that's wrong, point blank, period. Yeah. And like that's what I was, we gotta understand our position as man, as creation. We are created, and just like anything created, if it's not functioning how you want it to function, then what are you going to do with something that you created it to do and it's not doing it? You're going to throw it in the trash. You got a brand new truck, but if it don't run, it's nothing but a lawn ornament at that point. You're not going to want to keep it. You're not, exactly.
Daniel's awake. He's coming with us.
That's fine. You guys can play. So this is what I like going with part of what the lesson of number our days today. Is to basically to show that we do not have, our breath is, our lives are just a moment, a drop in a bucket. Considering, I'll go to Psalms 90 because this was part of this lesson here and it kind of plays in. Psalm 90. I'm going to start in. I'm just going to start in the top of it. In Psalms 90, starting in verse 1. Yahweh, you have been our refuge in all generations, before the mountains were born, or you have brought forth the earth and the world. Even from everlasting to everlasting, you are El. You turn man back to dust, and say, Return, O children of men. For 1,000 years in your eyes are like yesterday that has passed. So 1,000 years is one day to him. Yeah. Or like the watch of the night. You have swept them away. They are as a sleep, like grass that springs up in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and springs up. At evening it is cut down and withered. For we have been consumed by your displeasure. Wind picking up. And by your wrath we are alarmed. You have set our crookedness before you, our secret sin in the light of your face. For all our days have passed away in your wrath. We spend our years like a whisper. The days of our lives are 70 years, or if due to strength, 80 years. Yet the best of them is but toil and exertion, for it is soon cut off and we fly away. And so from what they what the writer of Psalms wrote here, he was saying that 70, 80 years is a man's life, by strength, and it says, but the best of them is but toil and exertion. And I was thinking about that today when I was going over it. Like, we all, in the Babylonian system setup, we end up accruing debt by going to college to try to get a job. And then we get this job or career, we work it for 20, 30, 40, whatever amount of years. Our best years, as we just read from David, best of them were just toil and exerting, just for it to soon to be cut off and we fly away. So by the time we've worked and retired, we only have 5, 10 years to enjoy that, and then mainly it's death. And half the time,
all sick by then
exactly. So we're seeing what was prophetically written thousands of years ago, and we can apply it to today. But even David's son Solomon wrote, "There's nothing new under the sun." We are seeing everything play out as it always has been, but it just continuously to get on a bigger scale. It's like you're like a ripple. Like you slowly spiral and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until we come to the end. But yeah, we don't number, like, so that's why I was saying, like, we spend so much time working and building for a kingdom here that that's not going to exist for a long time. We're honestly at the end. I really feel that with everything that's been going on, like I've said it at work and said it, me and my because we had a couple conversations, a couple people. I'm like, by the end of December, I don't see America being like how we know. We are going to be in a time that we ain't ready for. We ain't been prepared for. We ain't ready for. Because our government has done nothing but suckle everything out, but they didn't do anything for us. You know what I'm saying? And also with like those that proclaim that they have the word of God on Sunday and they preach it and all this and that, but why are you not preparing us for the end? Because every single prophet, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, all of them, they went with the message to warn the people, to turn them from their sin. It's the same thing being said in every book. If we look at it, turn from your sin, turn back to the Most High. Stop doing evil, learn to do good. And when it came to the point where people wouldn't listen, it became, listen now because destruction is coming. And this is where we are at in the history of the world. The Messiah said we are at the end of the age, end of age, end of age. We don't really consider end of age and what that means. It's like everything that, if we believe what's written in the Bible, if we really believe what's written, there's some things that are told that are going to happen in the end. Like Matthew, we'll go there, Matthew 24. Matthew 24 and verse 4, and Yahushua, Jesus, answering, said to them, take heed that no one leads you astray, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign. That nation shall rise against nation. If you look that up in the Greek, it's ethnos versus ethnos, ethnic group versus ethnic group. So it's quite interesting when we see our times, And then, of course, we got the kingdom versus kingdom. We see that, And there shall be scarcity of food and deadly diseases and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. So everything that we are seeing today, we've been seeing in this day, we're seeing the beginning of the birth pains. We are seeing the first time to wake up. Or better yet, he's knocking. He's at the door. So this is where we're at. So these things that we're seeing in the earth, like the massive die-offs of birds, of all these animals, of fish. I don't know if y'all have heard. Like,
I got a question. My brother's he's kind of like, a lot more stuff, and he seemed like he was kind of freaked out about all the stuff's going on. And I was kind of reading and studying some stuff. I'm only a couple years in my faith right now. But I believe from what I've seen, it says that, that we'll endure to the end and all that stuff like that. Like the wicked are going to be the ones to be perished and stuff like that. So aren't if we're following Christ, shouldn't we be safe, really?
Psalm 91. We're going to go Psalm 91.
Yeah, that's one of them that I...
Oh, so you know about Psalm 91.
I sent it to him, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
This is the thing. Like he says,
I think that's
verse 2, or... Now, just starting on, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. So we got to understand what that secret place is, but we'll get there.
I know what that is.
Who abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He is saying of Yahuwah, my refuge and my stronghold, my Elohim, in whom I trust. For he delivers you from the snare of the trapper, From the destructive pestilence, he covers you with his pinion, and under his wings you take refuge. His truth is a shield. The keys David is given to us. The truth is his truth. We got to understand it's Yahweh's truth is the shield and armor. The word is truth. We put all that together. You are not afraid of the dread by night, of the arrow that flies by day, of the pestilence or the diseases that walk in darkness, of the destruction that ravages at midday. 1,000 will fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it does not come near you. Only with your eyes you look on and see the reward of the wrong ones. So we're going to see these things. We're going to see the wrong get their due punishment. And it might scare and terrify because he's breaking systems. We only see in part. He sees the whole thing. So he's breaking it, the whole thing. He's not going to leave anything. He's giving
people time to repent and stuff too. You know?
And exactly. And he's only giving in measure so that people have time to repent. And in verse 9. Because you have made Yahweh my refuge, the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil befalls you, and no plague does not come near your tent. For he commands his messengers concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They bear you up in your hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You tread upon lion and cobra, young lion and serpent you trample underfoot. Because he cleaves to me in love, therefore I deliver him. I set him on high because he has known my name. When he calls on me, I answer him. I am with him in distress. I deliver him and esteem him. With long life I satisfy him and show him my deliverance. So we have to cling to him. That's the whole thing. When, I think it was Isaiah 59.
Hi. How are you?
Hello. Isaiah 59. I think it is. Yeah, in the first opening, he says, look, the hand of Yahweh has not become too short to save, nor his ear too heavy to hear. But your crookedness have separated you from your Elohim, and your sins have hidden his face from hearing you. His face from you, from hearing. For your hands have been defiled with blood, and your fingers with crookedness. Your lips have spoken falsehood. Your tongue mutters unrighteousness. No one calls for righteousness, and no one pleads for truth. They trust in emptiness and speak worthlessness. They conceive trouble and bring forth wickedness. They have hatched adder's eggs and weave the spider's web. Whoever eats their eggs dies, and when one is broken, an adder is hatched. Their webs do not become garments, nor do they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of wickedness, and deeds of violence is in their hands. Their feet run to do evil, and they hurry to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of wickedness, wasting and ruin are in their highways. The way of peace they have not known, and there is no right ruling in their ways. They have made crooked paths for themselves. Whoever treads in them shall not know peace. So, our sins, and that's why I wanted to read down further, is because he's telling you, your sins are keeping my face from you. It's been written in Proverbs, he hears the prayer of the righteous, but the abomination, the prayer of the wicked is an abomination. So the thing is, you can't walk and live a lifestyle of wickedness and think he's going to hear you, think he's going to protect you, think he's going to do any of these things for you. Now, understand, if you are in a place of wickedness, like we all have been, like even myself included, where I have been to a place where I've done nothing but live sinful, but you come to that place of repentance, like, Father, forgive me for what I've done wrong. I've done wrong. I like to give a little testimonies on myself, just as it helps. I feel. Years ago, I was in my first marriage, and it was just rough, rocky marriage. My children were all kinds of misbehaving. Just, it was all bad. It was all bad to the point where I was like, I'm ready to end it. I'm ready to end it. The only reason I never did it, I didn't do it, was because I didn't want my children to find me like that. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. But I prayed and cried all night. It was a literally fall asleep crying and praying moment for me. Mm-hmm. And the next day, the Father spoke to me and he said, well, if you give up, that's fine. You give up. Do it my way. You're done anyway. You ready? You're ready to off yourself, basically. Take yourself out of this world. Doing it your way. What more do you have to lose just to give up everything and just do it how I tell you to do it? So when I started learning, like I said, learning his Torah, getting in instructions, really learning what he's saying, it was, I'm doing these things by his instruction. I'm following his steps. So I went back to the basics of do not murder, do not steal, do not, bear false witness. Go back to those basic elements of the scriptures. We need to go back to Mount Sinai. In our standpoint, we need to understand we need to go back to Mount Sinai. And going back to Mount Sinai is giving us instruction. But like I said, that pillar of fire that's always led, that was Yahushua, the Messiah, was with us. So when I tell people to go back to Sinai, it's not to just go Torah through it. It is go back there because that's where Messiah was too. He was giving you instruction how to live, and then you follow him. I'm going to send my messenger before you. All these things have been written and said in this book. So we just have to understand what is really being said and really apply it. And when we really apply it, then we can really start seeing the blessings and the promises that he had said. We all want the blessings from the Most High, but we got to understand all his blessings were always conditional based on covenant. Like he told Abraham, you obey my voice, and because you obeyed my voice, now I'm going to bless all the nations through you because you listened. That is always how the Father has worked. You obey my voice, I take you as my people. We read in Exodus 19. He's never changed how he's always been, how he's always approached. So, if we understand, and this is how we get to know Yahweh. This is what we're saying. We're supposed to know our Elohim. We're supposed to know God. We're supposed to know who he is. If someone knows me, and someone else comes up and says something about me, or says something about you, and they know you, and then someone who doesn't know you says something about you, they know that's not true. The person that knows you knows that that's not true because they know you. So someone that doesn't know you can say whatever they want. But if a person knows you, they're going to be like, nah, that's not how he operates. That's not in his way. And that's how we have to look at the Most High. The Most High is, like we said, in like Malachi 3:6 is one of my favorite go-to verses because it says, I, Yahweh, I change not, so you don't perish, O house of Jacob. So he's telling you he does not change. So when everything is going to be, when I look at scripture, when it comes to anything in regards to the Father, I know it's going to always be the same as what he said in the beginning because he does not change. So if something is changed, it's either not of him or my understanding is off. This is the one or two ways I look at it. And then, of course, it takes prayer and research, and then the answer will come. But yeah, that my whole idea of the lesson today definitely changed up, and it's been a blessing because it actually, I've always wanted people to just come and hear, so that they can. And that seed gets planted in them, that the Father might speak to their heart and then give them instruction to move further.
It's funny when we were getting ready to come over here, I was trying to grab my guitar and run right over here when I heard the drums, and then Ziggy just started. Like, almost made us not even come
Oh,
over.
man. Well, I mean, y'all willing, I come out here every Shabbat, every Saturday. I'll be out here. I usually try to get here about 5, sometimes a little earlier, a little later. You know, it's just, but I'm usually around here around 5. This is what I'm trying to do. And eventually, if the Most High wills, I will. I'd love to get a building or find a way to be able to set up in indoors somewhere, especially with the weather coming. Like now, it's beautiful to be out in His creation. So I love holding like the service out here because it's like we're in His nature and not in a building. So that's what I like. So, but hopefully y'all willing, soon before it gets bad weather.
Yeah. Hey, if I see you guys out here, I'll come over. I kind of don't know what on my day is it going to be like. It's my first Saturday I've had off in almost a year, but it's cool with everything going on. It's hard to even find somewhere at church to fellowship and stuff,
and that's the thing is,
I'm trying to keep that from going down too.
Well, that's the thing is, I'm one that is not, like I said, very different from what we've all been learned. I've been taught mainly like by Ruach for over 4 years. It wasn't like I had like an assembly and a elder that trained me up. This was all spirit. I got to give all praise to Him for everything that I have learned in the time that I did without any instructor really but Him. So I'm learning to do things the way that He had wanted done. And it goes against a lot of things that we have been taught for so long. So there are a lot of things, like if you continuously hear like videos and see, because I have YouTube, I can give you, but like there's videos and things that I say things that may seem like, he's attacking, he may be attacking the church. I don't attack people, but I will wholeheartedly say I will go against any system. If your system is against the Most High system, I don't care. I'll bring the smoke. There's no problem with me. If your system, if I'm looking at your system and it's like, no, it's not matching His system, your system is wrong because His system is right. His system, and that's one thing. I looked at the Torah. I'm like, we got the Constitution and all of these laws. We got women's rights, equalities laws, and all this crazy stuff. But if we just follow the Most High's law, a lot of the stuff that we deal with is already handled. Because a true biblical people who are truly following the instructions of the Most High, they're not going to treat anyone unfairly. They're not going to treat anyone unequally. Everyone's going to know positions, roles, functions. Now I know there are of course a lot of laws now, like Obama allowed for homosexual marriages to be. And I have a couple people, I've had my debates with people they've tried to debate, and I tell them it's an abomination. Why is it an abomination? Because they don't even usually hear things like this. But it's like, what is the purpose of sex? What is it? Male reproductive organ, female reproductive organ. It is to reproduce. Can a man and man reproduce? No. Can a woman and woman naturally reproduce? No. So therefore, you are going against the creation in reproduction. And I've actually gotten there are some people that have gotten really nasty about it. And they try to say things like you're a bigot, you're a hater. I'm like, okay, if we're going to say that standpoint, then I can say the same exact thing about you, because you are trying to allow man and man which cannot produce, or woman and woman which cannot produce. So therefore, you're saying that you hate mankind, because mankind, how's mankind going to produce if everyone is like how you got?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going to swing that sort of judgment, make sure you know what you're swinging, because
it's a hard time to talk to people about that type of stuff.
They don't want to eat the truth.
And that's the thing is, we live in a time, like Paul wrote, is people won't turn, they won't pay attention to sound doctrine. Sound doctrine may hurt, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, sound doctrine ain't gonna work in our emotion. It don't really care about emotion. There's a minister he made this analogy one time in one of his teachings where he said, Yahuwah is like the spotter when you're lifting weights. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, come on, one more rep. You got the rep, you're getting it up, you struggling, bam, you pop a blood vessel in the eye. But you finally got it up.
Yeah.
You built your strength. Though you popped a blood vessel, he's like, Yahuwah is not worrying about the blood vessel you popped. Because though it was pain and agony, you got the blood vessel popped. But because of that blood vessel popping, you got that weight up. Now you are now stronger. You did it for him. Exactly. You did it for him, and now you are stronger. So this is where we are supposed to, this is how we're supposed to look at everything. And not necessarily as a thing of punishment necessarily, but it's actually to build us up. And once we understand that, then we can do as like what James said, we can count it all joy in our afflictions. Because we're knowing it's only going to build us up for righteousness. It's going to make us stronger and better fit for the kingdom and for the Most High's purpose. But I think I got a couple people here that have been chimed in. I don't know, Shabbat Shalom to everyone that has watched. I'm actually going to go on and get ready to cut this short. Y'all hear the young one in the background. Y'all willing though, like I said, Shabbat... I'll be out here next Shabbat, and we'll continue on with part 2 of Number Our Days. We really got to learn to number our days in this day and age. We have to understand that our lives are but a breath, and we'll get into more detail on that next Saturday. So until then, may Yah, through Yahusha, continue to bless and shine his face upon all that hear, all that is joined the gathering today in Yahusha's name. Shabbat Shalom.